Well, Bob, I'll ask you what I asked Chris Hughton after the game. Point gained or 2 dropped?
I've got to go back and say what I thought before the game, and that was, I said I would be reasonably happy with a point before the game. However, as the game evolved, Arteta getting taken off, then you start thinking, okay, we could be here for the, we could maybe get 3 points here. But then, of course, the sending off of Nolan sort of knocked that back a little bit. So at the end of the day, Lee, I would say it's another point on the board, just trying to creep away from that relegation. And, I've said all along, I'll be happy if we stay up the season. I'm looking for nothing more than just let's get away from the bottom of the table.
Yeah, I think the game overall, the way it went, it became an opportunity to get something, especially when Arteta went off. I thought that's, you never like to see players injured, but I thought, God, once he's off, that gave Newcastle a chance. Lovenkrands missed the golden opportunity, and at that point, I really thought Everton were there for the taking.
Well, I think you're right. I think they were, Lee. But having said that, I keep saying this. To win games, you've got to score goals, and I just don't think we can. We don't look like we're going to score goals. How many shots on target? Okay, Lovenkrands had a great chance which he missed. That was a golden chance. Yeah. But other than that, how many saves did the goalkeeper have to make? And I just think there was 2 teams. I think both quite happy with the point at the end of the day, because they were disappointed as well. To be fair, they had 2 or 3 star players missed.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the stats there. I mean, Newcastle, no shots on target and no corners. That was what. No corners. That's what I think Sam Allardyce lost his job because of something like that in the Liverpool game. But for me, Newcastle actually got it half right because there was such a good defensive performance. They looked so resilient and so solid that it was backs to the wall. But I thought the defence were outstanding yesterday, really well organised.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I thought just starting the left back, I think Enrique was just starting to gain a little bit more confidence, getting stronger, getting more positive. And I think he's doing okay at the minute. Stephen Taylor doing okay at right back. Colaccino maybe lost his way a couple of times on Sunday, but I think the man for me who's holding it all together is Basong. I thought he was absolutely outstanding yesterday. He was big, strong, and he's very, very good in there. But he's got a lot of skill as well, and he's cool customer, isn't he? He's brilliant. Down, doesn't get away, and I think whatever they paid for him, I had $500,000, $2 million. It's money well spent, because I think he's a young lad and he's the one for the future. And I think if we can get more like him, we can start going somewhere. But I think with him playing there and being as dominant and as confident, it's helping other players as well.
Yeah, I mean the problem with that is, you're going to get your teams interested in him.
Well, that's always a problem you're going to have. Yeah. But the trick is, hopefully he becomes a Newcastle United player and we start doing a bit better. And he doesn't want, there's not many people. Well, unless you're a real, star, if you like. Once we get going, that fan base, 50, well, it's 47,000 there again. Yeah. But it's a great crowd. To play your football, every time I go there and watch the crowd and hear them, I think, what a great place to play your football. And I think you're hard pushed unless you're going to Manchester United to get a better atmosphere and a better fan base than that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should mention that, because the next point we'll talk about was the red card for Kevin Nolan. The Newcastle fans weren't playing the 12th man yesterday, they were playing the 11th man when Nolan got rightly sent off. Don't think the referee had any choice but to send him off. It was pretty horrific when you look at the replays. To
be fair to the fans, a lot of them are sitting a long way off, and I think when they first saw it, maybe it happened so quick, and I think they didn't think it was as bad as it was. When it first happened, I thought he went over the top there with one foot, and then when I very, very quickly saw it in the video, which we're privileged to have beside us, it was the referee was spot on there. There was no, and the normal, knowledgeable Newcastle United crowd, to be fair, they just didn't see it as well as we could, but it was a sending off, and I don't think it was particularly malicious. I think he was just trying to make a point, I want to win this ball, but got it all wrong. And I understand at least he waited for the lad to come off and shake hands with him, which is, he's obviously felt, I was out of order there, which you do, you make bad tackles. I don't think he did it intentionally as such, but it was a bad tackle, and the referee had no choice. But I thought after that Newcastle dug in quite well. You could see people sort of saying we're going to have to work harder now. Yeah. And I think they did. And actually, probably was the best spell in the second half.
Honas had Martin slipped Honas in the second half. The first half was all about the Lovenkrands miss. The second half was probably about the Honas miss when he went clean through and he scooped it into the Gallagher end.
Well, I was trying to dink it though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
To be fair, and it's easy. I don't think he could have scored with a shot there. I think he had to try and do what he did with a little ding over the top. But I thought again he did well as well yesterday. He worked very, very hard. His work rate's great. As an ex-defender, he would be a joy to have on the team because he's always back there picking men up, and he picks them up properly. He doesn't just come back for the sake of it. He comes back and actually gets tackles in, which not a lot of forwards can do. A lot of you can get forwards to run back just for the sake of coming back, but they kind of get tackled. And sometimes when they tackle, they get fouls away. But he's good at that. I said that early on. I liked that about him defensively. He knows how to track back and get tackles in.
Yeah, I mean, Gutierrez. I mean, the one thing people talk about is his lack of final product, his lack of assists, his lack of goals. But what you're talking about, it doesn't always gets recorded by the pro zone, obviously, but it doesn't get recorded by the fans going the game. The amount of work
well, I think I will. If I watch again, I try and watch his all-round display, and I think defensively and his work rate's great. And I think it's a little bit unfair on him to say that his final ball is not as good as he should be. There's two. One of the reasons for that is he gets the ball in good position, but sometimes there's nobody to hit. There's no movement. You know, okay, like I said yesterday, Amiobi's at the back post all the time, and he's got two centre halves around him. It's a bad ball to put in. What you need is somebody making near post runs or somebody coming out wide, and he does a lot better when Michael Owen's playing, because Michael Owen will actually make good runs in behind defenders and go near post, whereas, you know, Amiobi's just he's too easily marked, isn't he, for centre halves? And
yeah.
I know as a centre half myself, I like big lads playing against me, but didn't run about. It's the little ones that start nipping away from you. You can't find them. That's when you get in trouble. And I think, to be fair, and to the degree some of the midfield players, you know, they find it difficult at times because there's not a lot of movement up front. You know, you can't pass the ball. It's a bad pass if you give it to somebody who's marked. So you need to have men who are making run into space, making the pass easier. You know, almost making your mind up for you. Say, I've made this one, give me the ball. It doesn't happen a lot, and therefore I think Gutierrez at times gets in good position, and he's looking up to think, well, what can I do? But there's nothing there for him. So sometimes his final ball is not as good as it should be on appearances, but he can't pass it. There's nobody moving.
So overall, happy with the point?
I said before the game against Everton, who were going quite well, hard team to beat. Got a couple of good players. Okay, Cahill wasn't in, but Arteta, I thought he would be the engineer. Once he got injured, I thought then we have got a chance. So I'll not go back on what I said. I was happy with the point. Yeah.
Okay.